available for doctors and nurses and pharmacists, physical therapists, for many different professions. And what is the OET? The OET is an English test, first and foremost, but it will also, of course, test your communication skills. It is composed of 4 subtests: reading, writing, listening, and speaking. So, I will be taking the speaking portion tomorrow, and the day after tomorrow, I'll be taking the rest of the exam. So please wish me luck. For the speaking test, it should be fairly simple and straightforward. Actually, for both speaking and writing, you will be given a prompt, you'll be given a clinical vignette, a scenario where there is a story. You have to read through it, and then you have to try and understand how to tackle the situation. So, if somebody comes to your clinic and you are the medical professional, what kind of questions would you ask? How would you introduce yourself? You have to show a lot of your skills all put together in this test. So, you have to treat this as if you were talking to a real patient or a real colleague, and you have to show off your communication skills in the best possible light. So, for speaking and writing, you'll be given a scenario. You will have time to read it, and then you will also have time to express yourself, to express how you will talk with a patient. So, it puts a lot of skills together. One of the most important qualities for anybody, really, not just people in the medical profession, is empathy. So, you have to be able to see and recognize when someone is in distress, when someone is anxious or worried, and then show empathy. You might not be able to show sympathy because you might not have experienced the same things, but you can still be very empathetic. You can still show them that you can be there as a form of support. They are not alone, and you are there to help them. You understand what they're going through. Maybe not completely, but that's okay. No one can fully understand somebody else 100%, and that's okay. They don't expect you to. Nobody can expect that from somebody else. But it is still your job, your responsibility to be empathetic, especially to those who need it at that moment. As for reading, reading is split into 3 parts, just like listening. But part A is always the simplest, and part C is the most complicated. So, for reading part A, just try to skim through it. Read quickly. Don't read everything in detail because that will waste too much time. For reading part A and listening part, we'll get to listening later. For reading part A, just skim through it. Go through it quickly. Okay. Skim. Okay. And then part B and C are actually combined, but they are separate parts. And part B is a little bit more complicated. I want you to read this carefully, okay? Still try to read as fast as you can, but read it a little bit more carefully than A, that is for sure. There's still short questions though, so I don't want you to worry. Part B is also simple. They're short questions, but you have to read them in a little bit more detail. Don't skim through it. For part C reading, part C is when you need to put the most effort into paying attention to detail. Part C is where you require the most amount of attention. You need to read everything carefully. Don't skim this one. You'll be tempted to because of time constraints, but read them carefully. Okay. And listening. The most important thing about listening is don't get lost. Don't get lost. You will be listening to other people talk. It could be a professional and his or her colleague. It could be a patient and a professional. It doesn't matter. You will be listening to someone talk. You will be listening to them talking. And you need to pay attention because they will be speaking. Not obscenely quickly, but they will not slow down. They will not slow down for you. And you do not get to rewind. So you only get to listen to it once and once only. For reading, you can always go back and read it again if you have time. But for listening, you do not have that luxury. So the most important thing is don't get lost. And part A, again, is very simple. You listen to people talking, and there are blanks in the questions. And you fill those blanks out. It's no problem. Part B is similar to reading part B. All you have to do is answer simple questions. Every excerpt, every conversation, or every monologue will only have one question attached to it in part B. And of course, part C is the most complicated. You will have to answer multiple questions for one excerpt or one conversation. So you will have to pay attention. They usually go in order, or that's what I have found. But you need to pay extra attention regardless, because they might go by quickly, and you do not want to miss that information. Oh, look at the time. It's time for me to end this video, guys. If you have questions about the OET, leave them in the comments below. And I hope if you have to take an exam, maybe not the OET, but just any exam in the near future, I wish you the best of luck. Okay. And as always, I will see you next time. Have a good day and a good night. Bye bye.